Love is Blind episode 12 dropped today, and I've already watched it. And we now know who has wed and who has not. So if you are not interested in spoilers, just save this video, repost it, and come back to it, okay? But if you're ready for the spoilers, or if you've already watched it like me, let's get into it. Going forward, we're going to be spoiling Devin and Virginia. Devin ends up saying yes at the altar, but then Virginia says no. And I was like, oh. I was not surprised by Virginia's answer. And what she ended up explaining why she said no is because pretty much she said that she spent a lot of time protecting Devin, and that normally when they talk about the politics and stuff, he did not want her to push, so she didn't push. But all the things that he said, like he said that he was conservative, but he wouldn't have the conversation. She was like okay with him having differing views, but it wasn't okay that they couldn't have the conversation. Also, we ended up finding out that his mom told her that like somebody gave them money, a check for the wedding, but he never brought it up and never showed her. So she felt a little bit untrusting about that. Monica and Joey. Monica is the one who's asked first, and she ends up saying no. And she's like, you know what, I just don't feel like they're there. And then afterwards, when they panned her, she's like, I just didn't feel like, she's like, I wish I could have said yes, but I didn't feel like Joey was there. And at the altar, she does end up saying, I love you. When we pan to Joey and he has his one-on-one, he's like, I didn't even know that she loved me. Like, she didn't have, this is the first time she even said, I love you, was at the altar. And that makes a little bit more sense on why we keep hearing him say throughout the season, I have a lot of love for you. I have a lot of love for you. And I was like, what is that? Because she's never said it. He also ends up saying that he didn't go into this to date. So he does not plan on dating Monica. Ben and Sarah. I know a lot of us were like, what is going to happen here? We wanted Sarah to say no. And you know what? She said no. She said no. And Ben at the altar ends up asking her, well, do you think we could, date after this? I would love to continue dating. And she says, we'll see. We'll see, with literally this face. She's like, we'll see. And then afterwards, she was a little bit annoyed that he has to keep dating. She was like, I don't want to keep going forward and trying for something that's obviously not working. And her reason for saying no is she's like, all of his views, she's like, he's not curious. She's like, when I asked him about Black Lives Matter, he said he just didn't really have any thoughts about that and didn't really know much about it. And she's like, and this makes no sense because we are in Minneapolis where this happened, where George Floyd's murder happened. She said also, when she asked about the views about his church, he's like, oh, I don't know. And then when she went to go look up a sermon online, she found out that their views were traditional. She's like, and he just doesn't continue to explore and be curious about things. She's like, it would have been different if he was like, oh, didn't really know, but he was curious and was showing her that he was curious, also curious about the way her mind worked. It felt like it was just too fun and light. She loved how fun and light it was, but he just was not curious about the more serious things. And that for her was a deal breaker. And she does not plan on dating him. And then Daniel and Taylor, our little golden couple, which I think we already know what they said. They both said yes. They both said yes, which is so exciting. Honestly, we did have a real love connection. I'm sad that they didn't really show us more of them and seeing how their connection worked, but you can tell that they're in love, and they both said yes, and it was beautiful. I'm going to be making more posts later going into more detail about each of the weddings. Right now, this is what we have. So the only couple that got married was Daniel and Taylor.